Okay, well, welcome to Lunch Break, everybody. We are excited to have you join us. It's an all-guys episode today. No Meredith today. It's kind of weird. It feels funky, so she wasn't able to make it. But we're doing something different. We did this about a month ago. We call it our Pastors Roundtable, and so it was really exciting. I loved it. I think it resonated really well with people, just to give people a kind of more inside view of our pastoral staff and what's going on, what God's doing in their lives. And so that's what we're going to do again. And we'll probably start doing this maybe even once a month, kind of do this Pastors Roundtable. So we've got our pastoral staff, Josh, Ryan, Stacy, and then we have one of our elders, Kevin Heid, who just happened to get on to property today. And we're like, hey, all right, Kevin, guess what? You get roped into lunch break. So welcome. So it's exciting to be here with all of you. Thank you again for joining us on lunch break. And so what we're going to do today is we're just going to, again, like we did last time, just kind of go around and we're just going to talk for a bit. I've got a couple questions. I'll start with some softball questions and then kind of maybe dig a little deeper. And it's just going to be this kind of free-form discussion for all of us today. So I'm excited about that. If you've got any thoughts for our next Pastors Roundtable, anybody that's watching, shoot us a comment or send us like a text message or like, hey, why don't you guys talk about this one? And that'll be great. We'll pass it all off to Stacy or Ryan and we'll throw them under the bus. It'll be awesome. Anyway, so we're going to start, like I said, we're going to start with some softball questions. All right. So here we go. This one's really easy. Favorite food and why?
It's not easy.
Well, no, with your diet, you can't do the. There's certain things
food of what you're allowed to eat.
What you're allowed to eat right now.
Right now, favorite food.
No, okay. I think it should just be a global. What is your favorite food? Like your favorite food and why? Why is it a favorite? So anybody?
I'm not starting.
Yeah, okay, all right, Kevin.
So I love berries. Berries are my favorite food. So strawberries, blueberries, raspberries.
Okay.
By far.
Okay.
Low calorie count. High volume. So
Okay.
you can eat 40 strawberries for about 60 calories.
Do you have a favorite of the berries? Do you have
strawberries? Are definitely my favorite.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. My kids are that way. Like they would live on berries if I let them. We have to force no, you have to have protein. Fine. Especially Caleb. He would eat nothing but blueberries and carrots. That's it. He's a weird dude. All right. So anyway, somebody else. Favorite food. It's an easy one.
Sweet potatoes.
Okay. Anyway.
Any way you bring it.
Okay.
Raw.
Actually, in salad, we chop them that way.
Can you eat sweet potatoes raw?
Too hard. Yeah.
Really?
If you try hard enough.
It's the consistency.
That's a
of
man's
carrots,
answer right there. You can do anything.
Really?
Just shave them, and then it's the consistency of carrots.
All right.
If they're uncooked. Yeah.
Okay. All right, Ryan, come on. What's up?
Okay. All right. This has a story to it. So my favorite dish, I guess, is catfish atchafalaya over jambalaya. Here's why.
None of those are words.
They are words, I promise. They're Cajun words, they're Creole. At Henry's, they had catfish atchafalaya, and one day I was there and I was like, I would love, instead of just rice or noodles or whatever comes with it, what if I had it over jambalaya? And Henry was like, that's a good idea. And then he added it to the menu as an add-on, and I was like, that's because of me. So it's now my prideful thing that
is it the Ryan
made
Cox
that.
special? Can you go into Henry's now
special.
and say I'd like the Ryan?
You can't. No,
No, that's pretty.
not. He won't give me credit, but it's fine.
Okay, so have you been to Henry's? Have you heard of Henry's?
Is it the place that's on Main Street in
Yes.
Epworth?
Yeah.
We walked past it when we were first looking at apartments down here, but we have not actually been inside.
It's worth being.
It is worth being
It's pretty
inside.
great.
Okay.
Make reservations there.
For sure.
Yeah, it's
It's
loud.
a reservations type place.
Well, if you want to eat
It can be.
berries.
Yeah.
Because if not, you're going to wait in line.
It's going to be like 9:30 at night. They'll be like, okay, we finally have a table for you.
Wow,
so,
really?
Yeah.
My wife's favorite dishes there, the chicken ooh la la.
Oh, it's so good.
So it's all Cajun.
So we're
food.
sponsored by Henry's today, by the way. Just so you know.
Welcome to Lunch Break, sponsored by Henry.
They have a brunch Sunday morning. Just go check it out.
No.
Sunday after church.
Okay. All right. 'Cause
Sorry.
they got to be in church.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's the
whatever.
point. We'll go with you. It's
We'll
fine.
rename this to brunch break if we need to. No, it should just be a little easier.
All right, Josh. What about you? Favorite food?
So I've got a couple of different favorite cuisines, but probably favorite food item right now is, so they don't really have this here, but in Southern California we've got like Mexican street stands. So it's not an actual brick and mortar place. It's a guy with a folding table and like a propane tank. And so there was one.
I love everything about what you're saying.
Yeah, there was one of these stands right by my parents' house. And the guy, along with kind of all the Mexican street food staples like tacos and burritos and all the things, he'll sell these things called mulitas. And what a mulita is it's like a supercharged mini quesadilla. So you take a corn tortilla and you put all the cheese on it, and then you slap it face down on the cooktop, and so it like chars the cheese really quick. And then he dumps just a fistful of carne asada or chicken or whatever you want on there. And then you just get it like dripping and oozing with this cheese and oil. And, you know, you can eat about 40 of those for 60 calories. So
Attaboy. I'm actually
high volume.
I'm shocked that you didn't say Alberto's. I'm a big Alberto's California burrito guy. If you put French fries into a burrito, you've won me over at that point.
right.
You had me from hello.
All right. So that's kind of warming you up a little bit. Again, trying to get everybody get to know you guys a little bit more. All right. So now let's move to a little bit harder one. Favorite book, not the Bible. You can't say the Bible in a pastor's roundtable and like, you know, a church. You can't say that's cheating. So
Are we also excluding books about the Bible? So
I
like
think we should.
commentaries.
No, I think it can be a religious, theological, biblical book, but it can't be like the Gospel of John. Yes, you know, like Jesus
Forgotten
loves me.
by Kyle Adams.
Ooh, okay. Forgotten, good one about the Holy Spirit. Okay, nice.
So I've got two, both by Michael Heiser. I Dare You to Bore Me with the Bible, because he covers topics where, you know, people say, oh, the Bible's become vanilla, a little stale, because I've been through it and I've done my reading plan 600 times. And he really tackles those difficult things that people glaze over, you know. And then then the second one is, what does God want? Because the context of that is we kind of go by what we're looking for, and we exegete, you know, from the text, instead of it being going from an expository, you know, viewpoint to look and discover what God has for us in study, instead of looking for something in study. So I found them to be, you know, because we can't use the Bible, you know, I found them to be, you know, joyful to bring out the things that I don't see, you know, the interesting patterns. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
I feel like I have to now answer with a Bible-esque
No.
book. So, I'm going to give two just because now the challenge is on. So the first non-biblical thing is the Inheritance series from Aragon, because I'm a giant nerd, and that's like one of the only books that I have read probably over 5 times, like just over and over again. I've read that.
Is that like the guy? Like didn't he write the first book when he was like 15?
Yeah, he
he
published it when he was 18.
Okay,
but he was writing it throughout his high school career, I guess.
And my wife loves those.
It's
Carrie
so
loves
good.
it.
It's all about dragons, and I'm like, I love dragons. So, super fun story. Don't ever watch the movie. The movie is horrendous.
Okay, so all I've ever seen is
John
the movie.
Malkovich is in it. Don't watch it.
See, I like John Malkovich.
I know.
He's
That's
pretty
what I was
decent.
like. This is gonna be
And so
great.
I watched this and
No.
I'm like, this is terrible.
Horrible trash.
People read this like
It's worth reading. Worth reading.
Okay.
And then the other one is more nostalgic to me. The Purpose-Driven Life. I read that in like my formative years when I was just wanting, like, hey, I've just become a Christian. I want to understand, like, what is my purpose inside of Christ, and what is my purpose as a person? What am I trying to drive towards? And that book really helped, like, just hone in what I should be doing, how I should think about purpose, instead of it being like, what is my purpose versus God's purpose for me? It was just an excellent book. I think
first words
everybody
of that
should
book.
read it.
It's not about you. And
Yeah.
right. Yeah. So I remember that book. I remember that one. Okay. All right, Josh. What's up?
So I'll kind of take a cue off of Ryan and split the difference between sort of fiction, non-Bible at all, and then Bible-adjacent books. I would say one of mine is East of Eden by John Steinbeck.
Okay.
Which is
Classic.
fantastic. Yes.
Classic.
So it takes place in the Salinas Valley in California, and on the one hand, it follows this sort of fictionalized account of several generations of Steinbeck's family. But at the same time, it's also this allegory for the opening of Genesis.
Yeah.
And so you get introduced to this character who's very clearly like the serpent and appears throughout the story. But it is excellent book. I highly recommend it.
Okay. It's almost like a Pilgrim's Progress-ish allegory type thing. Okay. All right. So I read that book back in high school. And so it's one of those like whenever you're made to read a book, I think you just inherently hate it.
Yep.
And so that's kind of like, I had to read Grapes of Wrath. I had to read all these classics, and so like, there's all this stuff. So, all right. Okay. So those are favorite books. Now I'm curious for you guys. We don't have to go down the line in order. Anybody can jump in and at any point. What are you reading right now? So these are all those are favorite books. Well, those are some of the things you love. What are you reading right now, and how is it challenging you? So
I read a lot out of the Preaching the Word series. I love this series. It's commentary. And right now I'm in Job. And they're a little bit more than commentaries to me because they're a little bit more of almost, if you allow it to, like listening to a sermon. It is the word being preached to you in a way, not necessarily going into so many details, but really diving in deep for the overall theme of what a book is going through or what a chapter is going through. Yeah. And so, as you know, I started that pathway in the New Testament, and I've gone now through the entire New Testament. I'm at Job in the Old Testament. So really, really loving it. But I'm reading Job right now. It's really great.
Okay. All right. Somebody else. Anything you're reading right now that maybe is challenging you, or maybe that you're like, no, this is borderline heresy, or like, there's like anything, and again, it doesn't have to be a church religious book. I know, it's Pastors Roundtable, so obviously that's probably going to be where we land. But what else? Somebody else.
So I've been reading the biography of Dietrich Bonhoeffer that Eric Metaxas wrote from a few years ago. It really is, yeah. So I read his Martin Luther book, and
Fabulous book.
When I interviewed for the church, I mentioned to Jay that I was reading that, and so I think that is what kind of sealed the deal to come here. But it's phenomenal because Bonhoeffer, his ministry is at kind of during the rise and then the height of Nazi Germany, and he really engages the church in Germany for its failure to actively live out its gospel preaching in the way that that would allow it to kind of confront the Nazi regime and the abuses that are being done to Jewish people and whatnot. And it's just really powerful. I think in our own day, when it feels like, we live in America, there's so much religious freedom and we don't really have, we're not in such a kind of tense time for the gospel in the way that Bonhoeffer was. But it really just challenges me, I think, to say, okay, in what areas of my walk do I sort of lean on kind of my theological knowledge that isn't lived out in the way that I go through my day-to-day life in the way that there were believers who were doing that at the time.
Awesome.
When I read that book, the one thing I was taken back by is, does America need a Bonhoeffer right now? Does America need a Bonhoeffer? Do we need that special person that can come in and say, I know you say you're doing it, but you're really not doing it. What I mean? Like to really touch on the American church. And I think Bonhoeffer during that time period, because he had the confessing churches, the ones that were being true, and then he had all the rest of them that he was very critical of. And so what a great book. Great book. Yeah. Metaxas in general is just phenomenal.
Yeah, he's an unbelievable writer. I was talking to Maggie earlier, and she was saying that she goes, I'm not like a huge reader. I don't know, and biographies. I don't know about. It seems a little dry for me. And I was going, you got to pick up Metaxas. Like he really just tells both the Martin Luther book and then also the Bonhoeffer one. He really just has this incredible literary style, and so he just draws out these amazing pictures in the life of these guys.
So good. All right, what else? What are you currently reading right now?
Just to kind of like piggyback off of what you were saying, like I think a lot of times we get caught up in this is what I was told and I just hold to it, and it's not about questioning as much as it's about understanding why was that the thing that I was told, where did that come from, what was the context of it. I'm reading. Actually, I finished it a couple months ago, so I don't know if this counts. It's by Malcolm Gladwell. I'm trying to remember the name of it, but it's his book on David and Goliath, and specifically is about Goliath.
It's called David and Goliath.
Is it really just called? I thought it was like Facing the Giants, and I was like, no, that's
David
a
and
movie.
Goliath. Yeah, Malcolm Gladwell. It's an interesting book. For sure.
It's very interesting because he goes in to posit like maybe it was that Goliath was struggling with his vision and he had heart issues because he was so big, and all of that leads to more understanding of why the events happened the way they did. But it caused me to go back into scripture to a story that I'm sure everyone knows and go, okay, what is this scriptural? Can I find that here? Is this a part of it? Some of it I was like, I don't agree with you, Malcolm, but some of it I was like, that's an interesting point, and it makes me question or want to delve deeper into what most of us would probably just take as, yeah, he slung the sling and he killed him and he cut off his head and that's the end of it, right?
Everybody leaves out the cutting off the head.
I know.
Part.
Well, I don't.
It's the best
part.
part.
That's the best part.
The most metal part. Yeah.
Carrie would get so mad at me because we'd read that story with the kids, because in every kid's book, David and Goliath is in there, Noah's Ark is in there, all that kind of stuff. And I'd always add he didn't die from the rock. You know that? What? No. David went and chopped his head off. That's what she's like. You can't say that to a 4-year-old. I'm like, it's the Bible.
It's what happened.
I love what Matt Chandler said when he said, everyone wants to be David, but the truth is we're all the scared Israelites in the corner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
for sure.
David's more representative of who God is in our life.
Right.
And I always love that story for that purpose. Because so many times you hear people preach it or hear people teach it.
Be David.
You
Be
can
David.
slay the dragon. You kind of not without the help of the Lord. And I think that's I love the story.
All we ever do is put ourselves as the main character of that
We're
story.
always the hero, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's that? That's what I preached Sunday, that glory. Mm-hmm. We want glory. We crave glory. Yeah. So, all right. Pastor Stacy.
One of the, so like you have like 18 books to finish in, a month. One I completed recently was Henry Nouwen. You know the book, Spiritual Direction. Spiritual Direction, yeah. And so good. What I'm trying to draw from it is like pastoral counseling, bedside manner, things that you think about when people are grieving, things you think about, as you lead people through, spiritual difficulties, And so that was one that touched on me. But I have to say, 1 Corinthians and Colossians, going through that for our group, young fellowship
this man
circle.
Loves 1 Corinthians.
Yes, it gets to cultural things, but it also gets to the heart of like when you're trying to internalize where you are in your faith, and it just is just point blank. The Corinthians, the church at Corinth had so much going on in it, and it needed so much admonishment, but it makes us look at who we are, in our faith and what our purpose is as the church. That we do have a purpose, not to just sit and wait for Jesus. Yeah. And so digging through those things and showing that, there is a mission, we forget not just feeding people and stuff, there's a spiritual mission that we're called to as individuals in our homes, in our relationships, all over the place. And for the person that says, well, I can't speak as eloquent as Kevin does, or, I can't play like Ryan does, and I don't have that bravado like Josh does, but you do have a purpose. Yeah, that bravado. Yeah. That's the right word. Right. I know, but you do have a purpose, and those small purposes matter to the community. So don't overlook don't gaze at somebody else's gift and minimize yours, because the community needs yours too. Yeah. So that's why I look at it and try to pull out that every week. Yeah. It's hard. It's tough though.
It's good. I've got one of my advisors where I'm doing my doctoral work. He's an Anglican. He's an Anglican priest. And so he and I, we kind of have this back and forth discussion. It's like, well, I'm a non-denominational guy. Like I love, I'm kind of trying to go back, early church model. He's like, oh, really? Which early church? Corinth? Yeah. And I'm like, hey, that's not cool, man. That's really not fair at all. Like, no, not Corinth. They're talk about a messed up church, but so many good things that we can learn from their mistakes in these letters that Paul writes to him. Okay, last thing, and then we'll wrap up today, because I think all of us could talk books like all day long. I think, which is I get to nerd out. I love it. It's so much fun. What's God been doing in your life lately? How's He been shaping you? maybe any rough edges he's trying to knock off you a little bit? How is he refining you? So, somewhere kind of in that vein, like anything God's been just like pushing at you, saying, "Hey, Kevin," or Ryan, here, think about that. Like anything in particular.
Yeah, I got kind of hung up on Job 31:1. Be honest with you, that I've made a covenant with my eye. Just really really careful. I feel like God's really challenged me on the stuff I take in.
Yeah.
I'm trying to allow for Him to be able to do a great work means I have to remove some things in order for Him to be able to do so. And so I think that so much of that is driven in really, what are you looking at? What are you, and not just what are you looking at, but what are you consuming? What are you taking in? I love to play golf, but I probably play a little bit too much golf. I love, you know what I mean? Like I think that to everything, God's really challenging me to say, okay, but what is that doing for the kingdom? What are you doing to better those around you? What are you? Yeah. And so I think that right now it's so much about what are you consuming? Yeah. And who do you want to be? Because you're going to have to consume different if you want to be different.
Any of that making it into your sermon on Sunday?
Oh, yeah.
Because, by the way, Kevin is going to be preaching for us this Sunday. I'm so excited. It's going to be so good. Is any of that kind of squeaking in?
Absolutely, yeah. Okay. I think that we're going to talk a lot about David. We're going to talk about David's sin with Bathsheba. We're going to talk about Nathan.
Psalm 51.
And then we're going to go right into Psalm 51, which is actually the purpose of the sermon. And I think that Jesus told us very clearly that the eye is the lamp of the body. And when the eye is healthy, then everything is light. And when the eye is dark. And so one of the things that I shared with Jay earlier is I really think that our bodies, Paul says clay pots, but our bodies are cisterns. And I think that the dirt is the sin and the water is the righteousness. And I believe that all of us have a certain balance of that in us, of a mud. And so how clean is your mud? Because we're all muddy. None of us get out of this without being muddy.
How do you get more water,
How do you
less
get
dirt?
more water and less dirt? And again, I'm going to bring this up in my sermons. This is a sneak peek. I contend that every man walks through the door of that church on Sunday wanting to be filled with something. Filled with the Lord, filled with the Spirit, filled with love, filled with the people around Him. But we all walk in the door with so much junk in us that God doesn't have the room to work in us like He needs. And I heard a pastor in Adairsville, Georgia one time say, the question we shouldn't be asking is God in the church? The question we should be asking is, who do you ride with? Who brought him in here today? Because he's sitting in these pews with us. Yeah. If we're coming into the church and we're bringing this sin in there with us and we're bringing these things that we haven't fully confessed for and we haven't emptied ourselves for, God wants to do a great work in us, but if we don't make room for Him. And so for me, it's really that, what are we consuming? How are we emptying ourselves? How are we letting that out? Before you come to church on Sunday, empty yourself. Find a moment to sit down by yourself with God and say, God, I know I'm bad. I know I'm dirty. And here are the things I know are there. You don't have to confess them to the world. You don't have to confess them to the Lord and let the Lord do a work in you to help you find that forgiveness or that way past what you're dealing with.
Awesome. Man, I love it.
All right. This past weekend, we had a saying, come dirty to be clean. Everybody comes dirty. For the person that don't see any dirt, you're starting with the wrong mindset, And so, but one of the themes that's been in my life, Lisa, you had to go there, right? Is take smaller bites. We love what we do, man, and we put in so much, and but there's a other part that we, that sometimes may neglect it. I won't go there, but when you have 2 plates already, and then you prepare another one, you're eating too much, and your bites that you take in, hey, yeah, you enjoy the food that you're eating, but when you eat too much, it always leads to a bellyache, and that's self-imposed. Yeah, and that's my issue. If y'all get the analogy, so take smaller bites.
That's good. Oh, that's good, man. All right, one of you guys.
I had someone say to me recently, or I saw something where a pastor or leader in worship was talking about how hard it is to worship as people that lead in worship. And I was like, oh, well, yeah, of course. But, I love singing. I love doing this thing. And he brought up the point, are you worshiping God or are you worshiping the song? Ooh. And that personally to me struck me so hard because I love all kinds of worship, but I know the ones that I love for me.
Yeah.
And those are the ones that I'll go to. And those are the ones that as the leader, sometimes I want to push because I'm like, well, it fits the message and it's going to be good. And sometimes it's all God telling me, like, let go of that control sometimes, be a little more obedient to me, because sometimes we might come in thinking, I don't want to do this because I don't like the song so much, or I'm not feeling this as much because it doesn't seem like it's for me. It's all for God. It was always supposed to be for God. So sometimes we're worshiping the song or even just the worship itself more than we are worshiping God. Because if we're saying, well, I'm going to close off to these other avenues of worship, then we're saying we're going to close ourselves off to God. Like immediately, oh no, I'm doing that wrong. I have to always put forth that this moment is about God. It is not about me. It's not about my preference. It's not about the song and how beautiful it is, but how can I fully give myself to God in this moment, no matter what avenue of worship it ends up being?
Can you worship to a song you hate?
I hope so.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Like, because you're right, it's not about you. That's hard though, man. Because there are songs that I'm just like, I don't like that song.
Yeah.
You
I
preach
got a bad
sermons.
memory.
You preach sermons you don't want to preach.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right. So I mean, I
Lots of
think
those,
that's part of that walk, though, right? It's that. Yeah.
That's tough.
It's hard, you know.
Yeah.
And that's why I always have so much respect for you, because you go into these sermon series. You know, I don't think it was a secret. You know, last year was tough at times, and we preached a Sermon on the Mount the whole year. You know, everything in the world that we would always look at each other and go, "Wow, yeah, living that right now," or having to walk through that. So, you know, I have a lot of respect, but I will tell you, to hear you guys and the work you're doing on Sunday mornings, brother, if you ain't worshiping up there, I don't know what you're doing, but you got me worshiping for sure. So
yeah, that's good.
Just commend you guys on the work you guys are doing.
Appreciate it.
Love it. All right, Josh, anything for you? Anything God's doing in your life?
Yeah, I think I may have mentioned this on a previous lunch break or just kind of in conversations with you guys, but I think for me, probably my default negative emotion that I'll often kind of go to is anxiety. And especially, you know, for those of you who don't know, new to this job, new to Georgia, newly married, about to start a new semester of seminary, a lot of new stuff.
A lot of new.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, God's been just wonderful and super faithful in all of that, and has just unbelievably blessed Ava and me. But like I said, that kind of default go-to negative emotion is to be anxious about all of the things that are uncertain in the future. And having, you know, being newly married and now having somebody who is there to kind of identify and call out when I can sort of spiral into being anxious about things has been really helpful to just see how easy it is for me to go to those places. And I think that what the Lord has been doing is, I had this kind of epiphany a couple of weeks ago of thinking that, or of realizing that, you know, there's an extent to which, you know, the enemy's going to attack you with whatever he can attack you with. And so if anxiety is the thing for me or for somebody else, then that may be something that you get thrown at, or that gets thrown at you. But to the extent that I'm believing those things or dwelling on those things or kind of partnering with the anxious thoughts that might come to mind, that's a sin, in that it is a failure for me to trust God fully. And so kind of coming to that place of realizing that my will is actively involved in whether I listen to the errant anxious thought that comes to mind. And realizing that and being able to take that to the Lord and being able to repent of those things has really been just a wonderful thing. And it doesn't mean that those anxious thoughts don't still kind of creep up or come to mind, but being able to quickly identify those as being the attack that they are, as being the fiery darts that they are, and being able to take those to the Lord has been just really a wonderful thing.
Yeah, I think, you know, our culture is riddled with anxiety, and I think we're like, well, let's just, you know, that's a struggle. It's a challenge. And I mean, it is a struggle. And, you know, there's some of that, but I think we've, in some respects, at least in the church world, we've kind of psychoanalyzed it. And now it's not lack of faith. It's not sin. It's just anxiety. It's like, sometimes, but sometimes it is that like failure to trust the Lord. Man, that puts a whole different wrinkle on it, doesn't it? I mean, wow, that's a real different spin. That's good.
I mean, I think that, because I would compare it to, say, the sin of like lust or something. And I think everybody has the sort of just sinful impulse to, look at a woman who's different from your wife, right? Those kinds of things. And none of us would give one another even the tiniest toehold to say, oh, no, that's okay.
That's okay.
Like, looking's okay. It's like, no way. Like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
And so, no, you can't control the, biological makeup that you have, or again, that means that the enemy has to try and trip you up.
Yep.
But we wouldn't give any room to that. But it's like anxiety or some of these other things that kind of get
Pride
medicalized.
or like lots of things.
That we give so much room for those things in our lives and in the church. And so kind of having that, just my attention brought to that in a real way through my wife has just kind of allowed us to target that and attack that. Yeah.
Man, that's good. Oh, wow. Well, I know we could go all day long. I mean, we could spend hours probably just going around and just sharing different things. But we're going to wrap this lunch break. Thank you guys so much for being here today. Thank you, Kevin, for jumping in, being a guest with us. Thank you guys so much for all you've shared. It was really great. Thanks for joining us this week on Lunch Break. Hope to see you again next week. I'm sure we probably have some announcements that I'm absolutely not remembering.
Yeah. Meredith's going to be very upset.
Meredith will be very upset with me. I'm sure I'll get a sternly worded Slack message. It's fine.
Switch kicks off this Sunday night at 6:00. Send your teenagers.
Oh, there you go. See, we did get an announcement, Meredith. We got one in. Okay, so like
One service Sunday.
One service Sunday, yeah. Labor Day weekend, August 31st, one service.
10:15.
Yeah, okay, so 10:15. Meredith will be back next week, and we'll get all the requisite announcements in there, so it's fine. It's good. Yeah, check the app. I got to get that in there. But anyway, thank you so much for joining us this week at Lunch Break. It's been awesome. Thank you guys. Really appreciate y'all.
Thank you.